Today is a green day for the altcoin markets, and actually Bitcoin has recovered to $102,000. Does this mean that the crash is now officially over? Is that the case? We're going to cover that. We're going to go into things like Zcash, which has absolutely exploded. Today it's up almost 40%, and you're seeing many other altcoins like Pith, which is an oracle just like Chainlink, up 20% on the day. Near Protocol, up 43% on the day. Even Polkadot is back from the grave, up 23.9% on the day. So we're going to be covering some of these altcoins. We're going to be talking about Bitcoin and a lot more. So make sure that you watch, subscribe, and destroy the like button because there's going to be something important that's released on this channel over the weekend. I'm going to be publishing the Benjamin Cohen interview either tomorrow night or Sunday morning. The editing is still under progress, but it's going to be the best ever analysis crypto video you would have ever watched. So make sure you've destroyed that like button, subscribed, and turned on all notifications to watch it as soon as it comes out. Let's start off with Bitcoin. Let's go through just a quick recap. You guys know most of it, so nothing too crazy extra to bring to you, but there is a new sort of TA, not pattern per se, but something repetitive that I found on the charts that I've not shared before, which I wanted to share on this video. And that is the downward sloping trend line you tend to see in that consolidation pattern where Bitcoin hits it, finds support, and bounces to the upside when you hit the linear ascending support line, which also coincides with the 54 simple moving average. In April, or from November to April, you see the same thing, downward sloping trend line, you test it, you find support adjacent or perpendicular almost to this ascending bigger line of support that lasted between May all the way until now, and then you bounce to the upwards territories. And here you can see we're on the same line of support, we're hitting it simultaneously with that bigger line, and theoretically, if we can hold above here, then we should see the bounce. It's all going to lie on the weekly candle close. There's 2 days and 7 hours left. If over next week and the week after, Bitcoin is trading below this convergence of supports, then it's over. If we can see a bounce back to the upside, then potentially we can create a smaller new all-time high, but I wouldn't be expecting anything much more extravagant. And that is the Bitcoin TA. That's all I have to share with you regarding Bitcoin. When we go to the total 3 crypto cap, you can see that we're bouncing a little bit here. There's a little bit of quite a big wick created on the weekly total 3 crypto cap. That's represented by most of the pumpage that altcoins have experienced over the course of the past 24 hours. Filecoin, why is Filecoin pumping? What's going on with File? I mean, it's important to visualize what these pumps look like. It does appear as though things are going up, but when you zoom out, you look at Filecoin in 2021, it was at $186. So since then, even with Filecoin going up 100% today, you're down 98.45%. And I would assume that is the same for most of these other altcoins. Let's have a look at Ethereum Classic. Nobody uses Ethereum Classic. Yeah, it's at 18 bucks. In the bull market, it was at like 50. Wow, it went to 120. From those highs, you're still roughly down 84%. So Ethereum Classic is up 20% in the past 24 hours, but please zoom out into the macro. Near Protocol, another OG cryptocurrency. Well, OG isn't like it was here in the last cycle. It was at $20 once upon a time. Today, it is down 85.6%, even though it is up 44% in the past, or 42% within the past 24 hours. It is the case for almost literally all of these cryptocurrencies. So I'm not too bothered about this pump. It doesn't mean much to me. Zcash is the only interesting one, I think, because this is up 32% on the day, 86% on the week, 311% on the month, and 1,554% on the year. Why is Zcash pumping? It started with Naval Ravikant, and Naval, he's one of my favorite philosophers, modern 21st century philosophers, and he tweeted in the beginning of October, he said, Bitcoin is insurance against fiat and Zcash is insurance against Bitcoin. But what is Zcash? Zcash is what crypto people call as privacy coins. When you transact using things like Zcash and Monero, your transactions are completely anonymous. So the person that is sending the money is anonymous, the person receiving the money is anonymous, and the amount that is in the transaction is anonymous. So nobody can really tie you up to the transaction, which to me is sketchy. Bitcoin is public, it's pseudo-anonymous in the sense that, okay, the wallets are visible, the amount is visible, but you don't know who owns the wallet unless it's published, right? To me, these privacy coins are shady. Unless you're hiding something, why would you want to use a private layer? To me, it's not a good thing. And this pump could literally happen from illicit criminals like discovering this coin and starting to use it. That could literally be the case. So I'm personally staying away from it. I don't see why society needs Zcash. I see why society needs Bitcoin, and anything that claims to be the next Bitcoin, I think, will eventually go to zero. So I am avoiding it. That is my 2 cents on Zcash. You could disagree. Some people believe in total decentralization. Some people believe in total anonymity. I don't believe in that. I think some laws are necessary in society. And Bitcoin is like that. You have some laws. It's an analogy, but you're pseudo-anonymous. You're not completely anonymous, but you still have the features of nobody else controlling your money. You have full ownership. It's just that at least there's a public ledger to track things on, right? And I think that's necessary. Accountability, that's what we need in society too. That's Zcash. President Trump has some news. Today, we could see the government reopen. Hopefully we do. The US companies have announced the most amount of job cuts for any October in 2 decades this morning. 153,000 layoffs last month, and that was 175% higher than expected. And there's been a total of 1 million job cuts this year. That has been the most since 2020. I mean, technically most since the financial crisis. So there's a lot of job cuts. The government shutdown is not helping. A lot of people, personnel in airports across the US, they're not getting paid. And they're going to be suspending a lot of flights in the US amongst the biggest airports like JFK Airport, Harry Reid International. Like the big names are going to get disruptions. And I mean, they have to open the government. It's not a case of, okay, is it going to be good for the markets or not? They just have to do it. People are working without getting paid. That's horrible. You need to open the government as fast as you can. And the issue why they can't open it is because the Republicans are going against renewing the subsidies for the Affordable Care Act and subsidies for Medicaid, which, I mean, look, I know my audience is mostly conservative, but like with the New York mayor, for example, I'm for capitalism. I think capitalism is great, but it creates a massive wealth gap between the most wealthy and the poor. So to provide opportunities, like I come from a upper middle class family, so that's why it's totally normal for me to favor capitalism. I grew up in the United Arab Emirates, where I've had opportunities. So I say I'm a capitalist, and I say that I prefer capitalism, but obviously I come from a very privileged background. But most people in the US don't come from that background. Most people are not born into opportunity. Most people don't have the access that wealthier people have, and there's a huge divide. There's a massive, massive wealth gap. That is why things like social welfare systems and things like Affordable Care Act and Medicaid are very helpful. They're very, very helpful to a majority of Americans. Now, there is a fine line. When you introduce these social welfare programs, you don't want people to get lazy, like what is happening in arguably Los Angeles. You don't want people to get lazy and not be productive because everything is given to them by the government. No, there has to be a fine line. And that fine line is usually drawn by democratic socialists. So socialism is different. Communism is something that's way more different. And democratic socialism is also different. Currently, there's a lot of propaganda portraying democratic socialism to communism, and that's just not the case. So anyway, I know we went into a little bit of politics, but I just think that social welfare is necessary because most Americans are struggling. But I am a believer in capitalism, and I think capitalist societies can succeed. You just need to make sure that people that are in lower incomes are supported and are given opportunities. How would this impact the markets if markets open? Well, if the shutdown ends, well, honestly, I think it's going to be a good thing, even in the short term. If you see a dump, I think overall, like it just has to happen, and currently it's not acceptable the situation that we're in. So they need to open the government, and hopefully they can do it tonight. Before we end off, guys, you're not going to believe it, but Jamie Dimon, who's once called Bitcoin a Ponzi scheme and a fraud, and said that it would be closed down in 10 years. His same institution is predicting $170,000 Bitcoin in the next half a year to a year. Then Jim Cramer is saying that he likes Bitcoin as a hedge. And then finally, Capo is bullish. So you're having every single person that's not supposed to be bullish on Bitcoin being bullish. It's a little bit concerning, but time will tell if the support line is going to be stronger or the bearish inverse guys are going to be stronger. We're going to find out. And the last point is you need to look at the ETFs, right? You can go to cryptokit.com, brand new refresh website, and go to the ETF flows. I know there's been a bad streak on the ETFs, but the thing is 99.5% of ETF buyers have not sold, even though Bitcoin has went down by 20%. These new buyers that are the boomers and the guys that are a bit more older and have a bit more wealth, they're not selling. They're here to keep and hodl. So institutional adoption, fantastic. You know, I love it. I'm a very, very happy person because we got this institutional adoption. I do hope that we see some sort of element of that brush onto the altcoin ETFs, but it's unlikely. I think Bitcoin, though, it has a bright future ahead of it. So even if we come down to the lower 70s or upper 60s, it doesn't matter because we're going to many, many millions, in my opinion, for Bitcoin in the future. So keep hodling and keep stacking Satoshis. With that said, take care and I'll see you all on the next video very soon. Bye-bye.